Some people think that they are your friend, but like truly it's a Hi everyone, welcome to the ABC podcast with Bongs. I'm very excited that you're back and I'm very excited about this first episode. Like literally guys, I've got my faves today. I have Slindy Langosi, I have Linda Mkwanas, and these girls are part of my tribe. And yeah, before we get into the topic, please don't forget to subscribe, to click on the notification button, to like the video, and also to comment because hey, I would also like to get some feedback and to get your views as well. So, have you seen with the topic? It's basically friendship goals, and today's topic is more about are romantic relationships more important than friendships, ladies? That's the question I'm posing to y'all.
Are they though?
I think based on how people are more intentional, based on my own views, I think people regard romantic relationships more important than friendships. People are more intentional in their romantic relationships than they are in their friendships. Hence the question.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. People do regard it, but the reality is, are they, as you asked, are they actually more important? And my answer to the question is no. They're more important because society has taught us that, not that they actually are. A good relationship, a long-lasting relationship, the basis of that is friendship. So if anything, friendship is more important to get that right before you move into the romantic relationship, because people are more intentional with relationships, because that's the love that they can earn, right? The love that I work towards.
So true.
That's where the stakes are high.
Work for it.
And we take friendship for granted, because you think that's the thing that's always going to be there. And that's not the right thing. So my answer is no, they're not more important.
Yeah.
If anything, friendship is more important because that's still a basis for a long-lasting relationship.
And just on that, when John is hitting y'all, where do you guys
want
like
to come back?
You come to us, guys. You cry to us, eh? Yes, Lee?
Yeah, but I agree with Ulinda, but I also think that it's also the passive nature in which friendships are formed. There's not, when you were to compare how a romantic relationship starts, there's an intentional pursuit that's quite obvious. Whereas with friendship, it's quite passive. It's based on common things that we both have in common. Yeah, but you get my point. It's like, we both like netball. We both work at the same place. So there's a natural progression, a natural passive progression in how that relationship is formed, and nothing really is intentional from the start. Whereas with umjolo, it's intentional from the beginning. I'm being bold about what I want from you, or my pursuit with you. So I think then friendships tend to take that passive nature throughout its life cycle if you're not intentional at some stage. So I think that's how it gets to that point of where it looks like romantic relationships are more important than friendships because of the passive nature in which it starts in. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And just touching on being intentional, are you ladies more intentional in your friendships?
I'm trying to be. I think, Bongs, you know this well, because we're always unpacking that. I'm absolutely trying to be, because I've realized that as you grow older, you grow and you change, and your interests change, and perhaps some of the common things that you shared when we met have changed, and that if you're not intentional, quite quickly things will just fall apart because you don't have that common ground anymore. So I definitely try to be, and the way I'm trying to be intentional now is, understanding what my friends' love languages are, trying to love them the way that they want to be loved, see them the way that they want to be seen, and not necessarily projecting, my expectations and my this and my that onto them to say this is what a good friend looks like. That's where I'm standing at the moment.
So in being practical about it, right? How are you being intentional? Give some few examples.
Slee.
Bubbles away.
Ooh.
And then we'll come to sleep. We'll definitely come to sleep.
So practical examples for me is I try to do, one of my love languages is quality time. So I absolutely try to do face-to-face time with my friends. If, you're available locally, obviously we will meet and have coffee. If not, then we'll do a video call or a Teams call, but just to connect and spend time and conversate, that look you in the eyes and talk about the real deal thing is very, very important to me. As an introvert, as somebody who, appreciates quality time.
Yeah.
And then also doing fun stuff together and experiencing new stuff together is also quite, I think that's a new way to spice up your friendship life, right?
True.
It's not to do the whole, let's go for lunch, let's go for coffee, let's go for a movie. Is let's go do something that we've never done before and let's share that experience together. That's another way that I'm trying to be intentional.
And like guys, I can attest, like Linda literally, we book time in our calendars and we literally make time and, to get one another and just to catch up. Like truly she is intentional. And what about you?
What
Sleep?
about you, Bongs?
Me.
No, it's fine. I can go. So yeah, I think I am intentional, or I try to be at least. And I guess how I do it is outside the quality time and making time. I also try to be vulnerable in friendships, and I am present. I try to be present in the friendship, and I think the reason why vulnerability is important to me is I think it gives room for both of us, to remove our facades and be naked with each other. So I think I try to create a space intentionally where masks are off and you can just be you. And whatever. So I try to create a space for a room for intimacy. So I think
I love that.
That's what I do. I allow myself to be vulnerable, as hard as that is, because it's easy to hide, guys. It's easier to hide. But I think I'm quite intentional about being vulnerable with myself, then with my people as well. So yeah.
And you, Bongs?
From my side, I think, being intentional with my friendship tends to change with time. Like, at the beginning, it was more of always reaching out, finding out what can we do, how can we meet up, right? But now with time, I'm discovering that me being intentional with my own friendships is me fighting pride.
Ooh,
yeah because like it's easy to just be like, oh, Sleep didn't call me, I'm not gonna call Sleep, and or I always reach out, I'm not gonna reach out as well. So for me, being intentional is just fighting that pride. If I sense something is not okay, saying, okay, what's up? If I feel like I'm not reaching out to a person and I'm just in my own hole, to fight that and say, you know what, pride, stop, I'm going to reach out to that person and find out how they are doing. So I think with being intentional tends to evolve with time.
And I think pride is quite a big hindrance in any relationship.
It is.
So I think kudos to you for fighting that.
Yes, girl.
It is. It is. Guys, like pride is something else. So going to the next question. Why are expectations, well, based on my experience, I find that in friendships, expectations are not clearly defined. Where in a romantic relationships, as you lady touched on, like at the beginning, a guy will say, I want this from you, and you'll say, okay, I want this from you. But when it comes to friendships, it's not clearly defined. And how have you navigated your unsaid expectations in your own friendships? Yeah.
Sure, that's a very difficult question. Because I'm trying to think if there's ever a friendship where we sat down and like, this is what I expect from you or from this friendship. Because I don't think I've ever had that. I think that would also be awkward, Jay. But I think it's a good thing to do. But I think back to what I said about how passive friendships, how friendships are passively formed. I think that's how it happens, that you you're quite passive in how you form friendships. So when are you gonna think or have that light bulb to say, okay, what do I want from this? You know. So yeah, what was the question? Is why are they not?
Yeah, clearly expressed.
Yeah, I think maybe for me, I think it's just the passive nature in which friendships are formed. Yeah, but I think there has to be some stage in your friendship when where you say, actually, you know, this is not what I'm looking for, or this is what's what I want, and communicate that, you know. And if you can't communicate it, it will die at some stage. Yeah.
It actually, you make a good point. Friendships are often passively formed, but to your point, Bongs, and to your question, how it happens that you realize you have expectations when somebody lets you down, right? But they're letting you down because, you know, I'm so disappointed because you didn't do X, Y, and Z.
But how
That
did I
person
know?
didn't know that you wanted them to do X, Y, and Z. And so that's usually how, for me, I've
That's
personally
good.
experienced, you know, I have expectations that I haven't communicated to a person, and I'm here disappointed and hurt, and this person is living their best life. And I am wallowing in it, and you know, they're completely oblivious to it because that's not something I've communicated. So I think in instances where that's happened for me, I've had to sit down and be like, cool, why am I disappointed? Why am I hurt? Okay, cool, there was an expectation. What was that expectation? Have I articulated that before? No. Okay, there needs to be a conversation that needs to happen. And that's how I've dealt with it in my friendships. To be quite honest with you, like Slee was saying, it's awkward to have that conversation in the friendship context. Relationship ujwayele. You're just like, listen, this was my expectation of you.
So
you
true.
didn't do it. I'm sad. But in a friendship, it's like, well, you know,
Do I really owe you that?
do I really owe you that? Should I really be asking for it, right? And you start questioning. But I think if you want your friendship to last and you want the longevity to happen, then you need to have the boldness and the courage to have those difficult conversations and to ask for what you need. Because the way I see it, friendships are, you know, with people that are my purpose partners. So if we're not able to have real talk about what I need in order for me to reach purpose, in order for me to reach the next level, then maybe it's not the real deal.
So true, hey? It's expectations. On my side, I find it very difficult to voice out my own expectations, especially when it comes to, you know, current relationships.
Why is that?
I think because going back to your point, it's more on the friendship started passively and it was more on chemistry, on us clicking, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes more difficult to say, Ish, kahle, like Slee, I actually expect this from you, you know? And that expectation is like, I want more. You know, and sometimes, and one thing that I'm more conscious about now is that with my friendships, we are adults, right? The responsibilities are real and people are going through the most, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's more of like, is me asking for more coming from a selfish place? Can that person be able to provide that for me, considering that they also might be going through the most and they don't have that capacity or energy to provide what I need at that current point?
So, question: what happens when you don't communicate your expectations?
Going back to what Linda says, you die and you take offense, like, you know. But I'll give an example. I'm disappointed. But I'll give an example where I clearly define my expectation to a certain friend, and that was so liberating, right? But at the end of the day, what I learned from that, I saw that person wasn't able to provide what I needed. And from there, I was able to make a very clear decision to say, I'm ending this relationship because I'm not getting what I want. And I have expressed that, hey, girl, I need A, B, and C from you, but you're not giving me that. And you agreed to give me that. You didn't say, Ishbongs, no, I can't give you that based on A, B, and C.
And it's a different conversation. So once you've expressed what those expectations are and the person has acknowledged and said, okay, cool, I will try. Them not doing it, that's a choice. And I think their actions speak to the fact that, okay, maybe this is not what I need. And it's we need to stop villainizing walking away from situations that no longer serve us.
So
that's
true.
okay. We're grown.
Breakups.
We're grown. If it's not working, cut your losses and move on, you know?
But friendship breakups, coming back to that, they did, guys. Like they
Yes.
painful. Like
They hurt.
like they hurt
They
more
hurt
than a
different.
romantic
I think
relationship.
they hurt more in,
They
in
hurt
our
different.
adulthood. I don't know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, they
being,
do.
I'm just thinking I've ended friendships in high school, but ending them now is more difficult and
Yeah.
it hurts. It hurts
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever gotten dumped? or been the dumper?
Do you want to go for that one, Linda? I'm trying to think.
I got dumped.
Why? What
Zen,
happened?
what did you do?
Also. Okay, so the funny story about that is I actually didn't do anything. So we
That
were
was the problem.
no, we were a group of friends, and
Yeah.
there was a tiff. There was 4 of us, and there was a tiff between 2 people of the 4, and things didn't work out. And so when the one person was cut off, the other 2 of us were also cut off with them.
Sure. That's
And
hectic.
that was the end of the story.
Oh,
there was
okay.
there was no closure. There was no
Yeah.
explanation. There was no this is coming to an end. In essence, I was ghosted, to actually be honest.
Yeah.
And that hurt because I thought I was friends with this person. I thought that we had a good thing going. I thought that independently we could make our friendship work outside of what was going on between her and that other friend. But clearly she didn't feel the same way. And so it was painful. And I was sad. But, I just had to acknowledge the situation for what it was. And I was like, cool, I've been dumped. Gotta keep it moving.
Yeah.
Sure, that's hectic, eh? On my side, I've been the dumper and I've been dumped. In the instance where I was dumped, it was very interesting because me and this, ex-friend, we actually were from a trip, right? And the trip got sour, guys. Like it was so
Some Real
sour.
Housewives.
Yo, it was sour, and the sourness was so silent to the point of, I made a conscious decision that, you know what, we went out on this trip for us to get fresh air. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow myself to feel sad and sorrowful. So when we came back, it was awkward even in the car. When I dropped her off, something said within me that this friendship is done.
Oh.
And later on, she sent me a text saying, "Oh, thank you for the trip, blah blah blah." And I knew that was a goodbye text. Sure. And it was so great that like the Holy Spirit just told me in advance that no, it's done, and I accepted it. That okay, our friendship is done. And that's how things ended. And I didn't even follow up. And I let it go. And then in the instance where I became the dumper, it was more of just realizing with a certain friend, I had confronted her about something. Maybe it was also too harsh. But guys, even despite asking for forgiveness, I had made that conscious decision just to say, I can't continue in this friendship, and I couldn't. And you know what? She genuinely did reach out, but for me it was more like no, like it's okay, like it's done. Like salalapo, it's fine, relax. Like the time has ended. And with that experience, I also learned that when people also let go of me as a friend, that means there's something that they've seen that I'm not adding any value, or I'm adding a certain energy that they don't want anymore. And that's okay. And as much as it's hurtful and it hurts more, but to accept that if we are able to let go of other people, we should also accept when they let go of us. And just
That's a
let it
word.
be.
Do you guys ever feel like, because I think in both situations, it sounds like, nobody ever went and revisited that conversation with, the former friends, or just reviewing, like do a performance review Nyana, of the friendship, but like just maybe talk things out. What happened? What went wrong?
So I did.
Do you long for that?
I did actually text said person who dumped me. I did text them, but for me it was more of closure on my side. And I said there's absolutely no pressure for you to respond to what I'm saying, but I just want you to understand where I'm coming from and how I feel and how I view the situation. And I expressed all my feelings, and I never got a text back.
Oh, no.
Sure.
But again, that for me speaks to the fact that when like what Bongs was saying, if they feel like we can't, then that's their choice, and you need to
Yeah.
respect that as a
Yeah.
person.
And just
And
receive it.
sometimes, it's difficult to not take things personally because this is
Yeah.
somebody that you trusted
Yeah.
and you were doing life with and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you need to draw the line, because sometimes you can't be carrying people's burdens, right?
Yeah.
It's not my burden.
Yeah.
They felt like that, I'm no longer serving them, then that's okay. I need to walk away. And it's an opportunity for me to go connect with somebody else and build something new. And so that's what I did. Like, it was difficult and it was uncomfortable, but I was, vulnerable with the person. I said my 2 cents, and I at least walked away from the situation knowing that I got my closure.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Oh, guys.
And you? Any dumpy situations?
I think I know one who sort of cut me off. But I was like, Ndabana. You know, like-
I'm smelling some sense of pride.
No, it was distance and time. And I think also, so she was continuing with her studies and I was moving into the corporate world. And I think just our lives were different now, so moving from varsity, when we did varsity together and, so I think we just, I don't think we made a lot of effort into building that friendship.
There was no intentionality about keeping the fire burning.
Yeah. And also because we were friends through someone. So
okay.
I kept the relationship with that someone and she also kept the relationship with that someone. But I left it at that. I was okay with that relationship. The other 2 ones where I attempted to dump people. But before, in my dumping, I had a conversation with them. This is where I'm at. I don't feel like this relationship is serving its purpose. So Jesus, and we both tried to salvage things. And I think, we're working on it. The other one, we're still working on it as well.
Kunzi, my present.
I think it's also, the thing is, and this is the reason why I say it's attempted dumping, because it's possible to say, oh no, we can fix this, but sort of close that door and not make it final. Like in the sense of you there, we call, we text, but you're not wanting to be vulnerable with that person, you're not wanting to share life experiences with that person, So it's very surface level. And I look at, in retrospect, I look at how close we used to be and how we are now, We're amicable, yes, but I'm not as intimate and close, or as close as I was with both of them. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that thing of, once that disappointment happened, I sort of went back into my shell and never opened up again, because I was like, I don't think this is worth the effort anymore. But we're very much amicable, coffee, we can do that. But I don't think they're in my tight circle anymore.
More of an acquaintance, right?
A close acquaintance. Yeah.
Got you.
Just coming back to those close acquaintance, guys. Like, I feel like some people think that they are your friend, but like truly it's acquaintanceship. Is that like a proper English word? Acquaintance.
Acquaintances, yeah.
Let me correct myself.
I was actually thinking about that on people naming themselves my friend, and I think it's okay if you regard me as your friend. But I was also thinking about how precious I am about that title, because of the expectations that I have in the context of that kind of relationship. So I don't easily name people my friends, but I'm always open. I'm always open to have new friends and acquire new friends and let people in. But it won't just happen because we had coffee or we're both into fashion or we're both into IT.
Sure.
No, I think there's effort, there's work that needs to be done, there's an intentionality that needs to happen in building that relationship. So I let it go, I let it slide. If somebody calls me their friend, I'm like, okay, cool, let's see how this goes. But I then, for me, is an indicator of how they see me. Then I try to be that and build on that. Do you get what I mean? So if you say friend, for me, what rings in my head is like, okay, this person wants to build something with me. So let me jump on it. Let me also be forthcoming about it.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think from my side, when it comes to that, guys, now I'm very straight to the point, hey? Like I ask, I'm like, okay, if you want to be my friend, here are my expectations. Here, what are your expectations? Because I don't want you to consider me as a friend, but now in my mind, I'm like, you're not my friend because you're not meeting my expectation, dololo. You know, like recently with a certain friend of mine, I asked her, like, where are we? You know, do you want a friendship with me? Are we acquaintances? You know,
What's the story?
what's the story?
Yeah.
Just to make it clear, you know? And yeah, we're able to clearly define that, okay, we both want a friendship. Here are my expectations. What are your expectations? But yeah, like especially with new people around me, I clearly define. I ask, are we friends or we not friends?
It's actually an interesting approach because I think I'm passively intentional. You get what I mean? I take a more natural approach to it. But I just wonder if I also tried that and like funan zokwenzani.
What is your purpose in my life?
Exactly. You know, I wonder
Yeah.
if maybe there wouldn't be. It would eliminate a lot of confusion, you know, and disappointment.
Yeah.
So, but it's also a very awkward conversation to have with.
But don't you think defining your circles makes a difference in that sense, right? Knowing, you know, you got an inner circle. These are your friends. That is my village. Those are my people.
Yeah.
That is where I go to cry, to laugh, to do whatever, right? That's your tribe. And then you can be like, cool. Then I have like, you know, a middle circle of, you know, I keep them close. And we kind of have, you know, we're intentional and you do all of those things. Then you have the outer circle of like your acquaintances. For me, I would look at friendship in that sense and go, everybody will start as an acquaintance somewhere, right? But you will work your way in. And also the working your way in is us being intentional together. To your point earlier, I will pursue if you are also pursuing, if we're being intentional together, right? Because I think sometimes what leads to a lot of disappointment is you seeing the potential of what it could be with someone and setting these very high expectations for them and them not meeting that leads to you being disappointed. And that's where sometimes, you know, you can say like, I consider you my friend, but I don't think you're a friend to me type situation. Because that happens, guys. And that happens and it's, for me, it always comes out in very awkward situations because that's when you realize, and I think we would have seen this in Real Housewives of Durban as well. Like, you know, like Kotma was saying, Uguti, Mina, I am Ayanda's friend. Mara, Ayanda is not a friend to me. And I was like, yo, that's a lot. That says a lot because you can even see, Uguti, I will go and I'll show up for you and I'll be intentional, I'll do all the things. But she doesn't reciprocate that level of energy. And I was like, boom.
You see, we need to define, guys. We need to
Communicate your expectations.
Communicate. Yeah, man, that's hectic.
That's deep. Yeah.
And guys, would you consider yourself good friends? What's a good friend? Tell me.
What is a good friend, Bongs?
Yeah, since we're now.
Yeah.
A good friend. A good friend. I think for me, a good friend is a person who's able to love and treat me the way I need them and want them to treat me. And a friend who is doing life with me. And a friend who's able to, a friend who's able to rebuke me when I do wrong, and a friend who's able to, you know, speak life upon my life, as well in drawing closer to my purpose, you know. And for me, that's a good friend, and a friend who's active in those things. Just it's not just high level, you know. It's just being deep as well. Like literally, a person who I feel and I see that, you know, this person is actually doing life with me. So that's what I consider a good friend.